Fantastic. Well, first and foremost, guys, it's a pleasure having you in here. Appreciate all of you from being in here. Celeste, weren't you in here last week as well, though? So it's your second time. I'll give you that, Celeste. I'm just picking on you. I'm picking on you, Celeste. No, it's a pleasure to have you guys in here. This is going to be something a little bit different. We're going to go in-depth analysis. You're going to see kind of for some of you that maybe newer to trading or something like that, some of this may go over your heads, but ask questions in here. This is a great presentation. If I do say so myself, I think a lot of people get a lot out of this presentation. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Okay. Now, with that being said, I, as always, got to go over this. John, 7 degrees in Aberdeen. Wow. Oh my goodness, John. That is mighty, mighty cold. I can't wait to get back over there. But I'll tell you guys a little something here in a little bit. But really quickly, gotta let you know, I'm not acting my capacity as a licensed financial professional. I'm simply here showing opportunity. What you do with that opportunity is all up to you, as well as you got to be aware of any and all risk, understand that risk, be willing to accept that risk, and take on that risk. Now, let's see. Victor, check your spam. Okay. Now, just so you know, right? Bill, no. I was talking to just so you guys know, and I have some backup in here with me today. I have Mario Rodriguez. He is one of my agents in here with me, and he is a great trader himself, and he's gonna, if there's questions that I don't get to, then I will he may chime in if he has the answer at hand and things like that. So Bill, I was talking about him, but everybody else camera and mic is off, so that way you're not hearing everybody's audio. But the other thing, quickly, when I introduce myself, my name is James Bishop. For those of you guys that don't know, you've seen me probably in a webinar talking about the Mark Helwig's system, the hedge fund trender. I've been in trading and trading education for 17 plus years. I co-own a managed fund. Currently, that managed fund, well, I don't have April's numbers yet, but I will tell you that it's averaging about 26%, 27% per year. Had you started with us back in 2014 with our minimum now today at 250 in June, maybe going up in June, thinking about potentially raising that in June, but you'd be at about 2.6 now had you just allowed it to compound. So I co-founded a managed fund. I also own a retirement estate planning company. I help people retire tax-free, pass on their wealth, and protect their wealth. Because a lot of people, even my own parents, I've had to educate my parents. And let me tell you, I don't know if any of y'all's kids have tried to educate you on anything yet, but just be a little more open than mine were. They still look at me and they still see that dumb 14-year-old that they that they had. Be honest. I know you're all laughing because you probably see that with your kids as well. But, and I'm 40 now and they just still probably see that, that dumb 14-year-old that hit a garage or whatever it may be. But one of the things that I'll tell you guys that is a little tidbit that I will tell you is when you have a lot of people think that a will protects their assets. It doesn't. See, a will tells the court how you want the money you have split up. But a will does not stop that individual from having to go to probate court and paying fees and taxes and things like that. So if you want to insulate it, there are ways to do so through trusts as well as through various investment products as well. Okay. And that's some of the people that I help. That's some of the things that I help with. Okay. Just so you guys are aware. I have my MBA in finance and global portfolio management, and I'm on the board now, I guess, of a endowment fund for the university that I'm getting my doctorate at. It was the same university I got my MBA at, and that endowment fund, I actually co-managed with 5 other individuals in for a year post grad, and then I'm working on my doctorate in finance and economics as well. That's just a little bit about me, but we're here to help you guys. Couple of things here that I want to get. I do this every week, kind of housekeeping items. So I have 2 newsletters, and then we also have a Discord as well. All right, 2 newsletters and a Discord. The Wealth Watch, this is more focused on the market overall, right? This is more focused on the overall market, fundamental news, what stocks we're looking at, what trades we're looking at, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? This is a daily newsletter. It's just a quick video. I'm going to send this out to everyone. Here's the link for that. Okay. This is a free newsletter. You just got to register the one time. That's it. And you'll also receive the fundamental playbook that I built, which is like the 10 events that move the markets, but it additionally gives you how you should trade on those events. Okay. How you should trade on those events. Now, I have another one that's more focused on energy as well as things that affect things that the energy market will affect, like tech, water, metals, all sorts of things. Okay. So these are things that I think that I send these videos out every day. I try to make them 1 minute, and sometimes I just look up and next thing you know, it's been 5 minutes. So go figure, I talk a lot. But those 2, they're free newsletters, right? Feel free. I don't hold anything back. I share as much as I can in those newsletters with you guys. And then the last thing that I want to share is the Discord for our newbies here, right? We have a lot of trades that get set up. We have a lot of news that gets passed out, and it's just a great community. Okay. We're vastly and quickly approaching, well, no, we've surpassed it. Over 500 people in our community here. So, and it's a free channel to be in. So this link, unfortunately, you have to use the link that I just sent within 7 days. Otherwise it will end. So if you're on Discord, click it, join it, and then save into the Discord channel as well. And then one last thing for right now is it's the most embarrassing comment ever, but I'm going to have to tell you guys to like and subscribe because I do have a Discord channel where I post recordings of these Sunday sessions. The last 2, I just edited the one from 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to get that up. And the other one is in editing now, and it's rendering on another screen. So that should be done hopefully by later today. But I'm going to send out, I don't even know. I think this is the link to my channel. I have no clue, guys. I am not no Instagrammer, TikToker, YouTuber, Facebooker, whatever, right? That's not me, but in this world, you got to do it. So if you subscribe, you guys will actually get alerts when these videos get uploaded. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some other trades and stuff. And, on occasion I may go live via YouTube because, do some live trading or something like that. Still working out the logistics of that. So join the Discord, the YouTube, and the newsletters if you can. Much appreciated. Now let's get into it really quickly. This week's main fundamental announcements that we have coming. So I don't know why date and time got copied twice, but hey, it did. But Monday we have factory orders. Tuesday we have services PMI. We also have job openings on Tuesday. Wednesday we have ADP, non-farm employment change. Thursday we have initial jobless claims, and Friday non-farm, the actual non-farm. as well as unemployment rate and average hourly earnings. Okay. And average hourly earnings. So, if you want to screenshot this and type in done, and you know what? I got Discord up. So I am going to post this right now into the Discord. There we go. Just type in done when you got it, when you have it screenshotted. That way I know we're good to go. And if you're not going to screenshot it, just type in done as well. Love it. Perfect. 3, 2. Now, next, so this is kind of overall, this is a great website. If you guys, it's a earnings whispers is a great website. I like this. I just think in Excel. So I did pull out some of this for the for the what I feel are like the bigger ones that we want to be focusing on. I did pull out some of this, but if you want to, we can screenshot this and I will send it in the Discord as well. And there is that. And let me minimize that and get that out the way. Close that. Get that out the way. And there we go. So, and now here's the ones that I am going to be mainly focused on. You have Palantir, which is Monday after the close, PayPal before market open, Shopify before market open on Tuesday, AMD after the close on Tuesday, Arista Networks after close on Tuesday, SMCI after close on Tuesday, Disney, but not Datney, on Wednesday. And then you have Uber, AppLovin, and CVS as well. All right, Zachary, no problem at all. Scott, that is in the works, my friend. That is in the works. So I just have to go through a couple extra hoops being licensed. So, because I can't have the two cross, but we're in the works on that. Don't you worry. Got to get the attorneys involved on that stuff. So every time I turn around, it seems like another one I have to pay, I promise. But now, with that all done and taken care of, before we jump in the markets, let's talk a little bit of news here today. I'm going to give you guys some headlines, and there's one thing I definitely want to talk about, which is, this Friday with non-farm payroll and things like that, and something that I have been seeing in there. But we saw Iran, it delivered a response to U.S. amendments on the plan to end a war, but Trump said on Friday he's not satisfied with that offer. Their proposal would set a 1-month deadline for negotiations to reopen the Straits of Hormuz in the U.S. blockade and permanently end war with Iran and Lebanon. Trump said he could order renewed military action if it misbehaves. I don't know exactly what misbehave would look like, but hey, we'll see. Department of Defense estimated Iran denied nearly $5 billion in oil revenue because of U.S. blockade. But you know what's interesting, guys? Here's something that is very interesting that I realized that it's not Iran that shut down the Straits of Hormuz. It's not even technically the U.S. that shut down the Straits of Hormuz. Do you want to know who really shut down the Straits of Hormuz? Type in a wire yes if you do. It's not China or China. It's not Israel. It's actually insurance companies. Because if that ship blows up, that company that is shipping it is on the hook Well, if their insurance company says if you go through this strait of this piece of water, we are not insuring you, guess what that ship ain't gonna do? Right? Aegon Financial is so I actually that's one of my partners is Aegon Financial, which is the largest insurance provider on the globe. They actually own Lloyd's and they own Transamerica in the United States. And they are one of the largest insurance companies on the planet. So it is one of those things. Bryce, they can change it whenever they want to, my friend. That's what the beautiful thing about, especially shipping, right? Anything, any insurance that has to do with like the movement of goods, they have the ability to change in catastrophic events, right? Especially if you're going through waters that are known to have mines, that are known to be active with an active conflict going on, if you will. Okay, with an active conflict, if you will. Does that make sense, Bryce? So they can't change it on like your life insurance and they can't change it on your car insurance, but you know, your car insurance company, let's say you were telling them, "Hey, I'm going to be driving through I'm going to drive through the middle of Qatar and they with my car." They may say, "Well, we're not going to cover you over there." Just so you know. So if you lose your car, we're sorry, but it's your fault at the end of the day. Same thing with like, here in Florida. Like they changed the homeowners insurance was allowed to kind of modify itself for these homes on the beaches and all of that. So gonna drive through in my tunnel during a protest. It's hilarious. Let's see. Really, Rob? I did not know that. Yeah, war is definitely excluded. You're absolutely right, Stephen. Um, Yeah, John, that's actually a very good point, and I that's something I want to talk about here today. Let's see, U.S. crude exports hit 5.2 million barrels in April, according to Kepler, which is 30% before the war. Libyan crude output hits 1.4 billion, highest since 2013, as it fills the lost Middle East barrels. Ukraine says Russia's 1 million barrels per day. Port Baltic Sea damage after attack. Earnings show bifurcation among AI linked companies as investors consider revenue growth and potential capex spending. Earnings misses lowest since 2021, despite oil shock, tariff, and turmoil. And guys, this is something that we've talked about. We talked about this in January. I know I talked about it in March. I'm going to talk about it now again. I don't think we see any major correction or any major big type of movement until Q4 or Q1 of next year. That's when we start to see things get a little shaky. Right? There's going to be signs, there's going to be days, there's going to be little bits of news, there's going to be things that affect the market that will shake things up. But I don't think that overall we will see any major declines, any major things happen until Q4 or going into Q1 of next year. And that's where I still think that you start to see a lot of changes. I also think on Main Street, right? I think we start to see that a little bit sooner, especially with food prices. I think those are going to rapidly expand Q3. And I also think that you're already seeing the cracks in the housing market in certain states: Texas, Florida, Tennessee, California, some of these big, a lot where a lot of people are moving into residential real estate. You're seeing a lot of kind of cracks in a lot of foreclosures and a lot of higher numbers of those foreclosures. It's like now I think it's like 1 in 1,800 homes here in the state of Florida, and in certain areas, it's now 1 in 1,000 are foreclosed on. and not even in foreclosure, but are already foreclosed on, right? So, let's see, does that mean housing prices down? Jerry, I can tell you as somebody that is looking now, yes, I'm seeing that. Like areas where literally a house I was looking at the other day, $50,000 pay cut or $50,000 cut in 2 weeks. So we're just slowly looking, right? And when we find something that we want, we'll have it. So to say the least. Let's see. Let's see. So that's it, kind of main news wise. Like, obviously the Spirit Airline breakup and all of that. But let's see. Let's get into a couple of other things. So one of the big news items that we talked about, which was non-farm payroll. Now, as well as unemployment claims. And these two things, right? For a long time, it wasn't making sense how we're seeing job openings fall. You're seeing unemployment rate steady, non-farm payroll steady. You're seeing average hourly earnings steady, but then we're getting every single company. Like in January of this year, 1.2 million people lost their jobs in January alone in the private sector, not even the public sector, the private sector. And then, this past month, Ford's laying off a third of their GM, sorry, is laying off a third of their factory workers. And then Meta is laying off another like 10% cut company wide. Microsoft's laying off people. Google's laying off people. Like we're still seeing a lot of these tech layoffs. And I started to think about why we're not seeing those numbers reflected. And here's one of the reasons why. So you can't claim unemployment if you are making an income. Well, when people lose their jobs, we have the gig worker now, right? Where you have DoorDash and Uber Eats, and you have things like Fiverr if you want to hire somebody to do something for you, like build a website or whatever it may be. And because of this gig economy, there are people that are turning to that and they're not being counted in the unemployment claims, which is good that our economy can support that. But it also means that the wealth gap grows even wider, and it's the widest that it's been since history. Like it's never been wider. Yes, YouTube. Rob, that's correct. YouTube is a gig economy, and basically, Jerry, it's the gig economy is if somebody loses a job, how can they take their skills and go earn income without or take anything they can do to earn some income. So think of Uber, grocery deliveries, food delivery services, food trucks. Think of going on the website. I don't know if you guys have ever used this website. I've used it several times, but there's like Fiverr, for instance, right? If I want to edit a video, right, I can click video editing and it gives me people like this guy will edit your video, podcast, Zoom meeting, or interview for $50 for a 45-minute video, right? Or I can pay $145 to get this video. So, if I click on this, and then he'll have different packages, right? If I want to pay $195, I can have all the edits and all of the cool stuff, right? But that's what it is, okay? So that is one of those things with the where we're not seeing these individuals in the numbers. It will be interesting to see, to say the least. And in getting into the market overall, and I think I told you guys. Did I tell you guys about this last week? This right here. Yes, no. Anybody? Side hustles. That's a perfect. Okay, good. Okay, cool. Because so take a look at this. Just FYI, I did a little bit of refining here. And I'm going to show you the last 15 trades. Yeah, 115 out of 15. And that's been like that for now for like 3 weeks. So pretty nice in back testing so far. But I digress. Let's first start with oil. And we'll do kind of a weekly oil breakdown. And this is as 100%. We predicted this move. Okay. Rob, you are correct. Yeah, if they get a severance, they're not going to be reported as well. But when it came to oil, we drew this counter trend line or this upward trend line, and we said that when it broke and closed below, which it did, it fell down to a level of support and resistance, which it did. And then I was looking for it and I sent a video out on this and we talked about this last week. The path was it would find that level of support and resistance, which it did. And then it would bounce back up off the backside of this trend line. And now we're looking for the next move potentially down. And that's what I'm looking for in oil right now is this next move potentially down, right? So what are we looking for here is mainly if we break another counter trend line, which we already broke that one, but let's say we're looking for our entry on tonight or Monday, right? Or tomorrow early morning, right? You have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to wait for this counter trend line to break. When that counter trend line breaks, then I will look for the next short and I will look for the next selling opportunity on this daily chart. You could take this down to a 15-minute time frame and or a 5-minute time frame or a 3-minute time frame, okay? And this will does the guided transport through the Strait of Hormuz make a difference? No, Nalini, it doesn't, because a lot of that isn't even happening. There is some guided transport, but because we have so many mines in the strait right now that a lot of the guided transports were suspended because of fear of the straits. And then also insurance companies, again, they're not insuring those ships that pass through. So if they blow up, if they leak that oil in the ocean, the company is responsible for cleaning it up. The company is responsible for all the cost of goods, and the company is responsible for the lives lost, and the company is responsible for the actual vessel itself. If you are a shipping company and you have all of that risk, you're not going to send your boat down that strait. I'm just telling you now, right? I'm just telling you now. So, right. So humanitarian reasons only, right? So, no, absolutely not. Right. Exactly. Nobody wants that cost. So you're not seeing ships with goods with goods coming through. The other thing we didn't talk about was around oil was with UAE leaving OPEC, which they were one of the founding members of OPEC. And what this does is one of two things. I see this going one of two ways. The news will tell us which way it'll go, and it'll be very apparent which way it's going to go very quickly. Okay, so if the UAE leaves and they stay aligned with the G7 and they stay aligned with the US and the other members of the G7, and they will agree to provide, maybe they'll ramp up their production while there's a rebuilding of infrastructure in Iran and other countries. And then there may be, and so that could be that way. The other way is that they will start selling their oil and we will start seeing them sell it for either gold or yuan. And then they will be more closely linked with the BRICS nations than the G7. And that's what we will more than likely see, right? And yeah, Saudi as well is saying if Saudi Arabia leaves OPEC, then OPEC is gone, right? You'll just have JMCC and OPEC will be gone at that point. And, you know, I have to go do a bunch of more research to figure out what was the market like in a pre-OPEC world, What was that market like? Yeah, because I don't know. I was not alive. So, Dave, I no, I don't believe so. Not yet, anyway. Because they're aligned with us as well. So if we see them leave OPEC and align more with the BRICS nations, then you will see probably higher trading, higher movement in the gold market as well as in the Chinese yuan, because the Chinese yuan is gold backed. So if you're selling oil in Chinese yuan, right, and let's just say UAE sells oil to, I don't know, let's just pick some random, let's say, I'm just going to make it up, Laos. I'm just making up a country name. That's the first one that came to my head. Okay. In yuan. So if they do that, Laos takes its money and buys gold first, then the gold can be exchanged for Chinese yuan. And that's how they will then buy the oil from UAE, because China they have their currency backed by gold, and they are on a gold standard, and so they only accept gold for their dollar. And so that's how that system breaks down. Okay. That's how that system breaks down. So we will see, right? We will see how that all works out, right? John, you are correct, right? John said UAE wants a higher market share while Saudi wants a higher price. You are correct in that. But there's always a secondary purpose. You know what I mean? There's always a secondary purpose. So, so, now let's get into some of the stocks, right? And we can go into oil stuff later if we want to, more deeply if we want to. So let's go into a few of these. I have a few that I'm definitely going to be going through. Are there any that you guys want to cover here tonight? Type them in right now. So Meta, MP, Devon, MDB, Caterpillar. Do you know the ticker symbols for that, Nalini? COHR. Whoa. I typed in cigar, COHR. AMD, NVIDIA, STXBAZ. Okay, I think you are correct. SNDK, if we have time. Okay, that's hilarious. SP, Dow, NQ. If we have time, we'll get some of the future stuff, but MU, GEHC, Soxel, INTC. And good to go. Perfect. All right. So we'll try to bang through as many of these as we can. First one, definitely taking a look at is good old Lulu. Look, setting at 133.57. I'm still in this stock. I still own the stock. I still am actually rebuying in at this price. Simply because One, I believe in this new leadership. Look at how many times they miss earnings. Wow, whole lot, right? Whole lot of missed earnings here, all of one whole time. And do I think they're going to miss again? Probably not. This new CEO, I think, will have a better vision. I think we'll have on May 28th. I think we'll have a way better idea of what we should do, and we will see how this thing performs. 233.60 is still my price target as well. Let's go into OKLO. They have done this stock has began to push up, right? If we start our fibs from low to high, then low to high, we have pulled back to here. De-extension is at $90.50. We do have a gap at $53. So if this does break an upward trend line, right? If we do get a break of an upward trend line, then we know that we can expect this to hit 53 before we potentially rally up back up to 90. This is small nuclear reactor play. This is a great opportunity for this company. This and SMR are two that I'm in. I rebought in at these lows, kind of in the $9-10 range. Personally, in my personal account, as well as in others. And then NEE, yes, those three are similar. NextEra is at 96, right? You see the recovery in there. And then even GEV, they're all do very similar things. GEV is, they have that potential partnership with Japan. The deal has been verbally agreed to, but there has been no movement on the deal as of yet. So we'll see. So GEV, I see potentially coming back down into the 900 range. And I think OKLO and SMR are going to be rallying up behind those. If we look at UNH, UNH hit 368. We do have major gaps at 324 and 284. Our long-term target on UNH is still $580 a share, and I do see that getting to $580 a share. If we, again, similar rule here, if we break this counter trend line, then I'm out of this already. Right now I've locked in some of my profit, and I will be buying back in. I have pending buys at 324 and pending buys at 284. And I will be buying this back up and holding it until it comes back up to 580. Then my next also on this, if you're not in it, if we do break this high, then I may enter in a small position at 381, with the understanding that larger positions at further down. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Netflix is up about $5 in our trade. Nike, this is again one of those long-term holds that we're just holding. VCX recovered a little bit last week, up $10 this week. Again, I don't see a lot of big movement in VCX until we have until OpenAI or SpaceX goes public. Once those go public, their share price is going to go a lot higher because of their earnings being a lot higher as well, right? So let's hit a little bit of Meta. So Meta, what it suffered from was $10 billion a year in CapEx spending. That's not a great thing. I'll be honest with you. Right. And they are spending and spending. They bought Manus AI. They hired somebody from OpenAI. I think they are paying them like $750 million a year. Because of all of this spending, they're having to cut employees. And the thought is like, where's this going kind of deal? Right. That's the thought, is you can't see an end game here. And so with that, it just tells me that, yes, there is opportunity for this to fall even further. because I don't think that their AI projects are going to be profitable for some time. And at the end of the day, money talks and AI walks. I don't care what it is. All right. Any day, any day. Like as the look, money talks and BS walks, as you know. Right. And so when it comes down to it, yes, I see this gap getting filled right down here at 401. I see it at 381 easily at 381 because they're going to realize, okay, we hedged a lot. We put a whole lot of money into this. Now we need to turn this into profitability. They're already starting to with Manus and creating like ad stores and stuff like that, where Manus will take all of the Facebook user data and generate ads for companies that people can pay for. And so we'll see how that affects ad spend short term. But long term, where do we see this really, really, really growing Facebook too? When Facebook's main thing is ads and they were already king of it, how do they do it even better? Right? It'll be revisions and more targeted audience and stuff like that. But I think long term, 401s in the books is where I'm looking for it. Short term, we may see a pop up to 667, right? Some news, some, investor day, something will happen and it will push it up. But right now, I would not be buying this yet, right? I will get a little bit at 549. I'll get a little bit more at 506. I'll get a little bit more at 401, but I'm not in it right now. Okay. Um, let's see. And let's take a look at Charter because Charter, which is one of my favorito companies, look, I think it's going to, yes, it's down. I'm out. I'm not in it again yet. I will get back into this, but I'm going to wait for my system or HFT to tell me to buy this again because it is, way down, but we do have gaps at 381. We have all-time highs at 800 back in, COVID era. I don't think it's going to be back that high as more people switch to streaming sites like YouTube and Hulu and YouTube TV and all of the others. For those that want, news the old way and news the new way is all on YouTube. Everything's on YouTube. So we will see how that looks, right? Now let's get into so we did Meta. Let's go good old Marathon Petroleum. Oh no, this is Materials Corp. Sorry. MPC is what I was thinking. So Materials Corp again making lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high. Why would you want to buy? That's a question that I ask myself when people make those decisions. When we look at this, we could see this fall back down to $18 per share. We have gaps down here at 50 and a gap down here at 31. And it's just going to take, a slowing of orders or disruption by manufacturing and things like that. Let's see. Yes, but market energy close to being overbought, as well as this system is still making lower lows and lower highs. Right? If the trend's your friend until it bends. You have, and the way you can do this is one of two. You can either draw a trend line like that, or you can say, okay, that's a high. Is that high higher than this high? Nope. And then this is a high. Is this high higher than that high? Nope. And until we get some sort of breakage somewhere, I ain't buying. Okay. I was about, you know what? I'll just say it. I was going to say, you must be high if you think this is a high, right? Let's see. Devon Energy, DVN. Again, so Devon Energy, this is a company I think is going to pull back, right? They got that AI hype bump again, but I think that I can foresee Gap getting filled. I do like this company as one of the big future opportunities around energy and AI playing and all of that. But I think we're going to see an even so. If you didn't know, I reported on this last week. 1/3 of all AI data centers, they were actually um, either canceled or put on infinite delay, which isn't canceled, but it can be sometime. Um, as my mom who is from the Caribbean says, and anybody from the Caribbean will know this, they're coming just now. That can be any time from now till thy kingdom come, because it is, who knows when it can happen. And why are we seeing delays? Well, great piece this weekend. I don't know if it was on like CBS Saturday morning or something like that, but it was one of those news shows that I watched at 4 a.m. this week on Sunday or Saturday. But basically, a woman in Georgia, her electric bill went from $150 a month to now sitting at around $700 a month. And that's not even using her whole house now. She has turned off the power to the majority of the house, like on the circuit breaker, and only lives in like a bit, like almost like a studio she created. And that's the only area that gets power. And she's paying $600 a month because they are subsidizing the data center. And that can't continue to happen, because that will, between the gas prices, the food prices, home prices, and energy prices, if that fourth branch, that'll be the straw that breaks the consumer's back. And that will be a very, very bad thing overall for the market, right? So we're seeing even more delays in these data centers until the power generation of this can be worked out. That's where OKLO, SMR, GEV, NEE, that's where those four come in. First Solar, that's another one that comes in, right? I'm sure Elon will have some sort of, for Terafab, mix between First Solar as well as some small nuclear reactor kind of deal powering Terafab. So um then let's keep rolling here. Let's go MDB. What do they do? Including consulting training company. Mm, interesting. Okay. Creates databases. Violent swings in this company. I mean, highs at 509 and lows at 137. Um, hmm. Again, lower lows and lower highs is long-term trend there. If if we look at high, lower high, we're not making higher highs. So we need to be cognizant of that. If we start buying this company, I would take it to the gap at 321, right? So I'm gonna show you. Look, this is a you play here at this point. I'm not in them. I need to read more about them, but I'm gonna make these lines like purple. Well, actually, no, I'll make them orange, so that way you guys can see them. This is where I would be targeting anything over 410. I don't know if I'd hold too long, because that's your next level of support and resistance right below this high. And if it makes it, it could run up to 320. That could be an easy win, right? Especially earnings and all of that. the AI bump, all of that. I even see market structure here that could give you a nice run up to 321. Then to 410. Yep, it could continue to run up there. However, anything past that, I would be cautious, highly, highly cautious of. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Perfect. So let's do Caterpillar. I think this company is just going to keep continuing to rally. I think, would I buy it right this minute? Me? No. I'd wait for a pullback. I would wait until I would wait until these gaps are filled and then we have positive growth out of them before I bought into this company because yes, I know it's going to do well. Yes, I know it's going to grow. Yes, I know it's going to continue to grow. They're going to be needed. They're going to continue to make money. They are even in power generations with generator sales with these data facilities are probably going to send them through the roof. But over time, I still see like, hey, we always have pullbacks. Every company does. It'll have its pullback, and that'll be an opportunity to buy in at that point. Okay. So let's go COHR. So last week we saw this pull back and then another pull up, but we're still making, lower lows, lower highs. We're not really seeing. We do have earnings on this on Wednesday, May the 6th. So, you know, if they beat earnings, they could shoot up. I would want to see them over 364 before I got, I mean, you could do like a spread trade or strangle or straddle on this based on earnings. That way, if it does pop up, you make money, cut the bad leg. And if it does pop down, you make money and cut the bad leg. I could see this pushing up to right around 349 and then falling to like a 270 ish range, filling this gap in here. But overall, I think a lot of the AI stuff has been kind of no worse for wear. Um, and when you see a company like Allbirds, like what a just absolute crock. Why did this go from $2 to $24, you ask? Because they're no longer a tennis shoe company. They're an AI company now. We saw that stuff in the 90s. What did they call that? It was the dot com. Was it the Michael Bublé? Was that what it was called? I think it was. Sounded something like that. That's what you saw back then. This is one of those things that I just am like, it makes the whole play like say, okay, when is this coming back down to earth? I believe it's here forever. I believe it's an absolute game changer. I believe in the technology. I use the technology. I know that it is one of those, it is a monumental and seminal shift in the way we operate around the globe. However, I think it's also there's going to be those that come out on this on top. There's going to be those that fail. And there's going to be big companies that fail. It just is what it is. An interesting note, China on Friday made it illegal for a human to be simply replaced by an AI. You cannot just fire somebody simply because you have AI now. So that's an interesting concept. Like it'll be interesting to see if other countries follow suit or if other countries change. So to say the least. Nvidia, AMD, look, they're just, We'll do them quickly. Nvidia, I still think Nvidia is going to come down to 178. I really, really do. I do think Nvidia is coming down to 178. I think what you're going to get is this. And I think this is how earnings will play out. I'll give you my prediction on the path is from here, right? We will break up, we'll break a new high, we'll probably sit around 224. We'll pull back somewhere into like the 189. Then we will rally back up to 216 and then have a big fall down. That's kind of the next few moves I see on Nvidia. Okay. That's the next few moves I see on Nvidia. AMD, AMD parabolic move. That's parabolic moves up mean it can fall even faster, just to say the least. Same goes with Intel. They're in the same boat, right? I think Intel comes back down into the 62 to 62 range is where I'm really looking for Intel. SNDK to the sky, SNDK. No, not to the sky. I think their products, right? The other thing you're seeing delays in, like what one of the things Meta said is like, hey, we can't afford to keep dumping money in new tech for these new data centers. Eventually, it's got a cap. So we're capping it. I think you're going to see Oracle start to do that. I think you're going to see Amazon do that. I think you'll see Google start to do that because there isn't infinite money. The other part of the threat to SanDisk is Qatar because the infrastructure in Qatar for helium has been so disrupted, which that's where the majority of the world's helium comes from. And you have to have helium in order to manufacture these manufacture chips for AI, the wafer chips for AI chips, and then memory as well. This is going to cause their prices to go astronomical. In the moment businesses say, hey, we just can't do that, then it's going to cause, and you see slowdown of turnover and a slowdown of orders. Well, it's kind of like what happens with anything with supply and demand. If there is, when the demand is too, like the thing that fixes high prices is high prices, right? The thing that fixes high prices is high prices. So let's do BAZ. I don't think this is it. What was the company that you wanted? BAH. Yeah, that's what you were looking at. Ooh. Hmm. Interesting. Um, so their biggest companies are biggest partners, I should say, is the government. Um, let's look at their guidance is continually down. Let's look at their rating here. Mm, 85, 115, 98, 106, and 97. They're constantly getting revised down. What is and targets and ratings? Hold or underweight or sell? Well, I think the biggest issue with this is more than likely it is well, a good chunk of debt too, as well. And I think the biggest issue with something like Bose Hamilton is, can companies do this for themselves with AI? Right? If what they're doing is consulting and digital solutions, how can they be replaced and who can replace them? Right? Um, their stock isn't looking fantastic. We can see that. If I were to look at them and would I advise anybody, what would I advise anybody holding them to do? The good news is we are capitulating here. That's the best news I see, right? We have a high and a low where we're kind of just capitulating. If we, I would buy in the sideways movement until we get some sort of guidance or news that the company is on a comeback and how they will come back and what they're changing and what they're doing. I would probably see them announce a stock buyback and layoffs, and that's what's probably going to drive their share price higher. I hate to say that, but that's what the next move is going to be, is stock buyback and layoffs. Okay. Um, so let's see. Yep, Ingo, you are correct. Or we talked about that as well. Let's see. Uh, does that make sense on Bose Allen? Everybody with me on that? Perfect. And CLS, you got it. Mm, CLS, I would hold. I would buy into or hold. If I could get it at a better price, I would. The better price I'd be looking at would be something like 328, where there's a gap there. And there is a gap down here at 221. Um, I don't own it now. If I'd be on the weary side of things and the cautious side of things, saying that, hey, yes, they work in the cloud space and yes, they work in component space, but you're seeing kind of a shift as well. Like Amazon manufacturing their own chips, Google is manufacturing their own chips, and then Tesla has been manufacturing, building, and owns their own plant for their own chips. So as well as memory, as well as everything else except for like server racks and fiber optic cable, which is why one of my favorite picks is still GLW. Right, I'm waiting for it to come back down a little bit, which it did fill this gap, and we had a buy at 149. And looking, GLW, I think, is going to be a great company. 95 is where I really want to own it at. So I had a small buy at 149. So probably got taken in on 10 shares, something like that. And then with the hopes that it falls down to 95 and then I pick up more. Um, let's see. So, for BAZ or for CLS? Nalini, which one was that for? CLS or BAZ? BAH. Okay. If they have this chip that is it an AI system or is it just a software? Let me look at the news here. So remember, all software now can be replicated. I hate to say that, but huge holding by BlackRock, so that's always good. Um, I like this, the unmanned aerial systems for drones. Now that's something I do like. So software, invest in Noda AI. Interesting. Okay. That's Series A funding, though, so not a long time. So it looks like they're making big AI investments in all defense, right? So I do like that, right? So this may be a great company to own because of how they're investing their free cash that they have now. But you have to understand that you're investing in that, understanding that there can be more pain in the long term with, in the event that they go somewhere else or as right now, right, there's a issue with Anthropic and all of that. So if Claude was used in any of these Noda AIs or other AIs, then the government can't use them. So will BAH lose out on that? We will see, right? So so it is very interesting. So we'll see how this works. I'll have to dig more into them, and look through, their last few 10Ks and read through them and process them before I, make a big call, buy or sell, but that'll be one that we'll look at next week as well. And then I have time for one more, and then I do have to run here. We've done so much tech. Why don't I just roll through and let's look at the NQ. So in Q, my outlook is I think that we will see, kind of Wednesday and Thursday, I think are going to be very flat. Monday, I think you'll get a little bit of a pullback as a recourse of, hey, the Nasdaq's at all time highs, everything's at all time highs. Let's do some profit taking, rebalancing, all of that, and you may get a little bit of that and some and things like that. Then I think we'll probably settle out. I do think that this non-farm payroll, this is going to be a crucial one, right? If we come in less than 60,000 jobs and the unemployment rate ticks up, then that's going to really drive the market down. We'll also be looking at new home sales and pending home sales and crude oil inventories. Crude oil inventories are dropping again and again and again, which is not a great thing. I talked about this in one of my videos, and that is going to continually send the price of diesel even higher, which is going to affect food supply, shipping, and any other price of any other good that ever travels in this country because they all run on diesel right now. So, with all that said, guys, I do have to run. I thank you guys so much for being here with me this Sunday. I'll see you guys next week on oh wait. Is next week Sunday? That is Mother's Day. Yeah, we should be fine to do that. So, we should be fine to do that. So it's well, I guess I can say it now. It will be my wife and I's, I guess, our first Mother's Day officially. So as we are expanding. So another one of us in this world. So it's thank you all for being here today. Thank you so much. And looking forward to it. And I will see you guys in another presentation next week or a webinar this week very, very soon. Oh, one quick thing, really quickly. Don't leave just yet. This Thursday night, I'm going to be doing a webinar regarding some of the investment opportunities that I have. I'm going to send you guys a quick invite to that. Give me 1 second. Here is this right there. So if you want to learn more about some of the investment strategies and some of the things that I can do that we can do for you, simply all you need to do is click that link and join this webinar. Okay. You have to get registered for it. You'll just it's a oh wait, hold on one second. Don't register just yet. Edit required. Okay, save all. There we go. The link just changed. I'm going to change this now. Use that link right there if you want to get registered, and definitely want to see you guys in there. That link will get you registered. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys there. And I will talk with you all very, very soon. So there's that link as well. Again, I apologize. I meant to send that out a little bit earlier, but I'll send it out via Discord, and I'll have it in the video, in the comment section of the video, just so you guys can register for this upcoming session. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in a webinar very, very soon. Have a good one.